usual 5 segments full of plenty of stuff to showcase with you guys today. Just a reminder, please us on follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Gametime Sports Podcast, something like that. And our social medias will be on the screen for the entirety of the video. So you cannot forget, no excuses like, oh, I didn't know what to look up. It's right there. It's been on every single video in the past. Almost every single video in the past. So yeah. Jace, you got any updates for us?
No, let's get into it.
All right. So we are gonna get started with Riled Up Roundup. Right, so we're just gonna round up the Sweet 16 and Elite Eight matchups. More specifically, we're gonna talk about NC State, how they have made it to the Final Four, UConn, and how they blown everybody out, and Alabama's 3-point shooting. Let's start with NC State. Jace, how has NC State been able to make it all the way to the Final Four as an 11 seed in the tournament?
Well, really, what I've seen from them is their defense has just been so good all tournament. I mean, they're playing really well in the perimeter. They're not allowing too many open shots, and they're making teams use really complex and advanced strategies, taking their toughest route to the bucket, and it's working for them. I mean, their defense has just been dominant. Obviously, the superstar DJ Burns is just dominating right now, and it's fun to watch. Their offense is pretty good too, and that's why they're in the Final Four.
Yeah, they I think one of the biggest things for NC State is their ability to play well in the trenches, or I don't know if there's a good way to word it, but like late in games when it matters most is when they step
Yeah,
up. Like that Duke game when they played Duke was close until about 5-6 minutes left, and then NC State just ran away with it. I mean, they won by 14 points, and that was versus 12 points versus a 4 seed Duke team that's very, very talented. But it was a close game until we got late in the game, and they started to pull away because they don't miss shots when they need to when they need a big shot, they make them. When they need a big stop on defense, they get it. They don't miss free throws that they need, and they play really good whenever they get late in the game. And that's a team that should be in the Final Four. And I don't know if they'll beat Purdue, but they definitely, if they play the way they've been, I think they have a good shot.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with you there, Caden. I think they can play that up to Purdue's level. I think they're not going to beat them, but it's going to be a good game for sure.
Yeah. All right, moving on. So UConn is kicking everybody's butt through this tournament. They have beaten teams on average of 27 points per game. And Illinois isn't no 16 seed that just barely got here because of the first four and doesn't deserve to be here. Illinois is one of the best offenses, maybe the best offense.
They are the best offense in the country.
Yeah,
I mean, it's crazy.
yeah, they had the best offense in the entire country. And UConn went on a 30-0 run. I have never in my life seen a 30-0 run in a basketball game, really in any sport in general, but more specifically in basketball. That's incredible. And this wasn't like, again, like I said, some bum 16 seed or some bum unranked team that nobody's ever heard of in the middle of the season. This is the Elite Eight of the March Madness tournament versus the number one offense in country, and you went on a 30-0 run, beat them by 25 points, and I don't know. This team is just unstoppable. And we saw the week or the couple of days before when they played San Diego State University. They beat them by 30 as well. San Diego State's a very good basketball team. I would say Illinois is probably better than them by quite a large
Oh yeah.
margin. But they're still a good team. And this is still March Madness. This is Sweet 16. Again, this isn't some bum team that shouldn't be here. And you just beat them by 30. Like, these teams are losing by the time they get off the bus whenever they get to these games. Like, they honestly should walk off the bus and get back on because they're getting absolutely, absolutely obliterated. What do you got in UConn?
Same thing. It's just over for everyone. I don't think it. Alabama, they're not going to stand a chance. NC State, no. Maybe Purdue can beat them. We'll see. I think Zach Edey and his gang have got a chance, but
Zach Edey and the gang.
Alabama and NC State, God, if they get to play NC State, they're going to beat them by probably 50 points. And they'll beat Alabama by 40. Mark my words.
Well, speaking of Alabama, there's one thing specifically with them that I think, well, obviously, there's a lot of reasons why they're in the Final Four, obviously. I mean, you can't just have one reason why you're there. There's a lot of reasons. But one reason that really sticks out to me about Alabama, I would say, is their 3-point shooting. Very, very, very good. Really, really good. In that Elite Eight matchup versus Clemson, that's really why they're able to pull away, is because of all those 3-pointers they made. They just made over and over and over and over and over. And I off the top of my head right now, I can't really remember what player it was, but they had a player that made like 9 straight or 6 straight or whatever. It was a ridiculous streak. He's made 3 after 3 after 3 after 3, and all their players are making 3 after 3 after 3. And Clemson is pretty good shooting threes, but Bama was just so much better shooting threes, and they're really good at that. And that's just, you know, whenever you can continuously get 3 points like that, it gives you a higher edge in winning games like that.
Yeah, it certainly does. And I mean, they just shot the lights out in that Clemson game. Played great against UNC, and they're on a run right now. They're red hot. I mean, maybe they stand a chance against UConn. I don't think they will, but who knows? Maybe they make some shots and make things interesting. We'll see on Saturday. That should be a really good game. I'm so excited to watch the Final Four.
Yeah, and they're just also just a fun team to watch. They're so talented, and I'm at the edge of my seat the entire game because they're making 3-pointer after 3-pointer. And they make this one, I'm like, oh my goodness! And then they get the block, and they make it again and again and again. And eventually, I have no doubt that, I mean, when a team shoots a three, you're like, oh well, they might miss it, and then Alabama shoots it, and you're like, oh, that's going in. They make everything. So I think that'll be a good game. I think they, I mean, we've been saying this. I mean, we said that about Illinois, is that they will be the biggest test for UConn. We'll see. I don't know. I don't really know. Anything else you want to add to that?
Nope.
All right. So that is going to bring us the end of Riled Up Roundup. Moving on, we have a very interesting topic coming up next in what's cooking, who's hot, or wait, what's cooking, what's hot. All right, welcome to What's Cooking, What's Hot. We have one topic right now. It's the baseball season has just began. We're about almost, when this is uploaded, we'll be about a week in. But Jace, who do you think is the best team in baseball over the first three, or excuse me, the first week, or like who do you think could like become, who will be the best team throughout the remainder of the year or to the All-Star break? Who's hot right now?
The Yankees, I mean, they just smoked the Astros, and the Astros certainly won't be a bad team this year by any means. But that was really impressive. I mean, they did really good against their pitching. Their batting was great. I mean, they were scoring a bunch of runs. Juan Soto looked really good. And I mean, that they look like they could be back to normal and back to being a perennial playoff contender. And maybe this is the year where they go and finally make another World Series. But we'll have to see. They look really hot to start the year for me.
Well, the Yankees have gone 14 consecutive seasons without a World Series championship, and they've never done that. They've never gone more than a decade before this streak without winning a World Series. It's never happened in Yankees baseball. They've won a whole bunch in the 20s, in the 30s, in the 40s, in the 50s, in the 60s, in the 70s, in the 80s, in the 90s, in the early 2000s. Every single decade for the last almost 100 years, they have won World Series. And, this could be the year for the Yankees. I think they could do it, but right now, I think the best team in baseball, I think I think it's close. I think it's between the Braves, and I think it's between them and the Orioles. I know the Orioles had a tough loss to the Angels, but in that series, they outscored the Angels. It was like 24 to 11 or something, or like 25 to 11 or something like that. It was they like rolled over the top of them.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Um, and they have so much depth when it comes to people in the minors and stuff. And their pitching has been pretty good. I mean, the night before we recorded this, they only gave up 4 runs to the Royals, hit a walk off, and they struggled. And like I'm gonna add this on that when a team, great teams will win when they struggle. Great teams will win when they have played a bad game and when they've been outplayed for most of the game. Chiefs are a good example of that. Although the 49ers also didn't play great in the Super Bowl, but the Chiefs did not. That was the worst playoff game that they've played in a while. I mean, all over the place. Offensively was not looking great until the end. Great teams in the end find out how to win. And that's what happened with the Orioles. They were down 3-0, ended up tying it in the top of the ninth. Royals scored, made it 4-3, or not 4-3. No, I'm an idiot. It was 4-4, and then the Royals tied in the top of the ninth. In the bottom of the ninth, Jordan Westberg, your young player infielder who was 0 for 3 in the night, hits a walk-off home run. And this is what great teams do. So I'm actually going to change that, and I think the Orioles are the best team in baseball.
All right. I can definitely see where you're coming from with that. I mean, the Orioles, they were great last year, obviously, and I think they're going to be really good again this year. But I think I like the Yankees a bit better through this point in the season.
The difference between the Orioles this year and last year is this year they have a star starting pitcher. They have a few pretty darn good pitchers and stuff. And so, yeah, I think that they're pretty darn good, and them and the Yankees are gonna have a battle for that AL East crown. All right, anything else to add?
Nope.
All right, so that'll bring us to the end of the What's Cooking segment. Moving on to Deep Under the Glass. You better. All right. All right, welcome to Deep Under the Glass. So we have 2 topics for you guys today. First one is, are the Jets Super Bowl contenders? What do you think, Jace?
I'm going to say no. And here's why. You had a really tough division. That schedule's going to be tough again. And yeah, we don't know what Aaron Rodgers is capable of exactly. We saw him play 4 snaps last year. We haven't seen him at an elite level since 2021. And in 2022, really didn't have good receivers. So we really don't know the dilemma on him. It's Aaron Rodgers, yes, but we'll have to see what happens there. I love their defense. Are they going to really be able to do enough with that old line in the draft? Their old line, they haven't made too many improvements to it other than Tyron Smith, and they still need help there. Receiving core is really good. Got a great running back, but I'm still a little skeptical. I think they're a good team, but not Super Bowl ready.
Yeah, so I think right now, at this point in time, they are not. But I think they could be. They very much could be. If everything
Yeah.
goes right for them, they very much could be, because I feel like, if Aaron Rodgers comes out and plays like he has in the past when he won back-to-back MVPs, I mean, he has 4 MVPs. So, I mean, if he plays like MVP Aaron Rodgers with all those weapons they have on offense and with that spectacular defense that they play as good as they've been a pretty good defense for the last few years. I think that they really could. I mean, honestly, I think that they probably, if they play to their best ability, they're better than the Buffalo. They could be much better. They could be better than the Buffalo Bills, because the Bills have a few holes offensively when it comes to weapons. When it comes, you know, they're having a little bit of a dilemma. They have a quarterback that leads the league in turnovers year in and year out. And defensively, I think they'll still have a good defense, but I think they have a few holes on defense that need to be filled, and they're probably gonna go to the draft to do that because
Yeah.
they definitely didn't do it through free agency. So I think that, honestly, I mean, if everything goes right for the Jets, they could win the division.
I want to say this though. Robert Saleh has had his best season be a 7-win season as the Jets head coach. He's not proven yet. I want to see more from him.
Yeah, I I think this is a prove it year. I think for Robert Saleh because he's been there for what 3 4 years
Yeah, this is going
now.
to be his fourth year as head coach, 4-13, 7-10, and 7-10. I mean, come on. That's a joke
Yeah,
right now. He's
and
got to win at least 10 games for me.
his roster isn't is I mean, except for maybe his first or 2 years, but last year's roster wasn't bad. You
They just didn't
know,
have a quarterback. If they would have had a quarterback and he won 7 games, then that would have been,
well, they also didn't have an offensive line, so it doesn't
yeah,
help.
no, no, no
I
offensive
just
line either. Forgot about that. But yeah, not a
yeah.
proven coach, but we'll see what happens. They're an interesting team for sure.
All right,
Yeah.
Jace, what do we have coming up next?
Well, you have MVP talk. Who do you got?
So for the NBA MVP, I just think that he's even improved and gotten better than he was when he won his previous two MVPs. And I think he could potentially lead the Nuggets to a back-to-back NBA Finals championship because that's just the type of player he is. He just lifts everybody on the team to a higher level, and I just think he's really pretty darn good. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm gonna take Luka Doncic. He has been so unreal this season, carrying that Mavericks team on his back, scoring 70 bombs, putting up all these crazy scoring games. The best scorer in the NBA right now. He's been phenomenal rebounding the ball, passing it. He's so efficient. He's the best point guard in the league right now, and I just think he has to win this MVP.
Yeah, I definitely think that's a fair pick because I mean, without Luca, where in the world would this Mavericks team be?
Probably wouldn't have Kyrie as well.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I think that Luca is just a next level. Like
Oh yeah,
he brings that team to a level that obviously, like you said, they have Kyrie, and he's also a phenomenal athlete, incredible. But I still think that without Luca, they would not be as talented. I think they'd
yeah,
be a
yeah.
much worse position. All right. Anything else you got to add?
Nope. Let's head on to
All
the
right.
next segment.
Well, moving on to the knock knock news segment. So, knock knock, or no, wait, no. So, welcome to the knock knock news segment. We don't have really much to discuss. There really hasn't been any crazy moves. There hasn't been any crazy signings in the last week, but kind of an interesting one. J.K. Dobbins is visiting with the Chiefs on Tuesday, and I don't know. He might go to them. Do you think this is a good addition for the Chiefs offense?
Yeah, I think it really would be. I think he'd be a really great backup job behind Isaiah Pacheco. Try and maybe get his career a little bit restabilized. Go maybe try and win a Super Bowl with a great team and a great coach. And yes, he's had all those injury issues, but Andy Reid looks like he's going to try and give him a second chance. We'll see how it goes, and I hope the Chiefs can get him. I feel like it'd be a really great pickup for them, and it'd give us a little bit of a safety blanket at running back. Pacheco goes down. All right, we got a guy who's really good his rookie year, really good when he's healthy. And if we can keep him healthy, he'll have a great season as backup.
Yeah, and Andy Reid's all about giving second chances and stuff to these players, which is, I think he's gonna be pretty good for J.K. Dobbins. He's come off a few years with two serious knee injuries, and the Chiefs, we don't really see their star players go down with serious injuries at all. I mean, the most serious injury we've seen from a Chiefs player in the Mahomes era would be probably. I mean, I'm probably wrong about this, but Charles Omenihu tearing his ACL in the AFC Championship game. Before that, in the while Mahomes in this dynasty run, we haven't seen any of their big star players go down with season-ending injuries. I mean, obviously we've seen some injuries, but I mean they've come back from them. Like this year, obviously Nick Bolton missed quite a few weeks, but I mean he came back and he played in the Super Bowl. But we haven't seen any like torn ACLs, torn Achilles, like you know, I'm rambling here, but yeah,
Yeah, and I
anything.
mean, we did see them struggle from injuries in the Super Bowl, which obviously wasn't great. So yeah, they do struggle every once in a while, but it's never too much of a problem. And I think that's it for this segment.
Yeah, I think that's it for right now. All right, moving on to around the corner.
Yeah.
All right, so welcome to the around the corner segment. So big things coming up in the week. By the top for our next episode, we will have a national champion. So we're into our final four predictions. Jace, who do you got?
All right. Well, I think the Yukon Huskies will take down the Alabama Crimson Tide by a score of 87-54. I think they're gonna massacre them.
I think that UConn is gonna beat Bama as well. I think Bama will probably make this closer than every other team has. I think that UConn is going to win by, I don't have specific scores, but I think they're still going by 10 plus, but I think they'll win by 15 or 16 points.
Yeah, that's a fair pick. All right, who do you got for NC State Purdue? This is the real interesting game of this
So
Final Four.
I think I'm gonna ride the Cinderella story all the way. I think I'm taking NC State. I don't know because I had the Nebraska thing happen early in the year that didn't go very well. But I think they could, man. They've shocked everybody this year. People still don't believe in them, and I'm gonna be the one to believe in them. So give me NC State.
I'm taking the Purdue Boilermakers by score 75-73. I think this will be a really good, intense game, but I think NC State will run out of steam. Purdue's still got to have a little bit more in the tank. I think they're going to go to the national championship.
Now in the national championship, I think UConn is gonna win it. I think UConn is gonna beat NC State, or I don't really know matter who UConn plays, they're still gonna win. I think if they play NC State, I think that they're just gonna run away with it. I think this might be like the Illinois game. They might go on a 30 nothing run. I think they might just blow the roof off the place. It's gonna be like last year's national championship. It wasn't fun to watch after the first half. So yeah, who do you got?
I'm going to take the Purdue Boilermakers in a big upset over the Yukon Huskies. I think that Zach Edey and company are going to be like, hey, we've got business unfinished. Dan Hurley and his crew won't make it easy, though. I think we're going to see a double overtime national championship and one of the best games ever. Final score 98-93.
Yeah, and if it comes down to a close game like that, we may see UConn not win because they're not very good when it comes to close games, and we've seen them blow everybody out for the last 10 tournament games or whatever it has. So
They
I don't know.
certainly have.
All right, Jace, you got anything else to add?
Nope.
All right, and this will conclude this week's episode. Thank you guys all for tuning in to week 7, and week 8 will be out at the same time next Thursday. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, Gametime Sports Podcast. And do not forget to follow our individual social medias that will be on the screen for you guys to check out. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you turn on post notifications so you do not miss any new uploads. All right. Thank you guys so much, and we'll catch you in the next one.